Da 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 da. Mm. We'll be getting started in just a moment. Please make yourself comfy. Grab yourself a yogurt or whatever. Whatever you have for a morning snack. And welcome to Less World, Lessons in Good Trouble. Can you build a better world through the power of play? Creating and learning together requires great empathy and brings a deeper understanding between people and across cultures. Good Trouble, Lessons in Social Justice, explores topics of race, equity, and social justice. These are complicated subjects that aren't always easy to understand or comfortable to confront. We encourage you to practice awareness, exercise curiosity, and demonstrate courage as you take what you learn here into your own community. To practice awareness, think about your reactions to each of the settings and how your experience might lead you to think in a certain way, to exercise curiosity, ask questions, and do research to learn more. To be courageous, stand up and speak out when you see intolerance, unfairness, or injustice. Hi, I'm Congressman John Lewis. I have no idea how he actually sounded. I devoted my life to achieving equal rights for all. I believe that sometimes getting into trouble helps build a more equitable world. Click the button to begin, or check out the resources on the wall to see where you can learn more about the people and movements discussed here. Today I'd like to teach you about good trouble and introduce you to some leaders throughout history who have built a better world by being a catalyst for good trouble. Head towards the green beacon up ahead to continue. Yeah, I really like this world, and it's a bit of an inspiration for a world I'm creating myself for the Minecraft marketplace. I marched with other civil rights leaders such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to end racial discrimination in the United States. Over the years, I have watched the civil rights movement continue to grow and evolve. Throughout my life, I've gotten into all kinds of good trouble. I've been arrested dozens of times for doing what I believed was right, from sit-ins to marches to the freedom rides to advocating for human rights. Oh, for goodness sake. My cat Alex has come to join us. There are people all around the world that have caused good trouble while fighting for human and civil rights. These people are just like you and me, who decided to take a stand when they saw that the world was not right, fair, or that justice was not being served. Join me as we travel through time to learn about these leaders. Started by Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, and Opal Tometi, the Black Lives Matter movement has made a global impact in their mission for freedom, liberation, and justice for black people. Do you know why these women started the organization? I do. The Black Lives Matter movement came about in 2013 to seek justice following the acquittal of the person who killed teenager Trayvon Martin. Since then, millions of people around the world have joined to recognize the need for the civil rights of black people. Oh, yeah, those activities. Street art has become a significant outlet for Black Lives Matter protesters who have created countless murals around the world to honor victims of violence against the black community. Use this space to create your own art that expresses how you feel or to honor those impacted. Yeah, I don't typically do the activities because I'm not typically good at them. I don't even know what to put down here, so this is free, you can do it yourself. So you put down what you put down. As a boy I loved to read, but I wasn't allowed to get a library card because of my skin color. This was so unfair. As a teenager I was inspired to join the civil rights movement by leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Meeting and working with him inspired my ideas about non-violent protest. Later, I would write books about civil and human rights. Let's continue our journey and head off to Pakistan, where I'll introduce you to a leader who became a catalyst for good trouble as a teenager. You can continue walking to the next location, or you can use the button below to fast travel straight there. You can also return to the lobby. Proceed on foot. Whoops, sorry about hitting the microphone there. And yeah, after the Black Lives Matter section, which is very urban, and yeah, we get a bit less urban, and honestly, I really like the look of Pakistan. Yeah, I mentioned that I'm working on a world for the marketplace being inspired by this, and it's not entirely the same because I don't have a team to do all of this. But still, it's divided into sections. And I want to try to get activities included, but I'm not sure how. Meet Malala Yousafzai. Wait. Yousafzai. Malala believes that everyone should have an equal right to an education. Girls just like boys and women just like men. The good trouble she began in 2012 has been an inspiration to people around the world. Thank you so much, Congressman Lewis. When I was a teenager, the Taliban made it illegal for girls to get an education here. I was attacked for speaking out about this injustice. Since then, many have joined my movement to fight for the right of every child to receive an education. In 2014, I won the Nobel Peace Prize for my efforts. For goodness sake, Alex. Yeah, I really like how everyone has a design. I like the design for John Lewis. I like the design for Malala. I like the design for everyone. Really? Fisherman originally? What were you originally? Regular villager, I'm guessing. Yeah, here's an activity spot. Excuse me. Now that the Taliban is removed from power in the village, you have been asked to work with the Malala Fund to help rebuild the girls' school that was destroyed. Build a school that will enable girls here to benefit from a free, safe, high-quality education. Yeah, so I've done this before, and I don't know. I try to get it to all match and everything, but you can do it yourself. Yeah, you see? What are you originally? Thank you, Malala, for all your work. Next, I'd like to take you to a different point in history, to meet another important leader who was a catalyst for good trouble. Continue on down the road or fast travel to the next location. No, I like going on. Yeah, that was my microphone almost falling over. Oh dear, back to the urban. Now let's meet Nelson Mandela, who was an advocate for human rights and freedoms for black people in South Africa during the apartheid government. This was the brutal policy of racial discrimination against people of color that caused suffering for millions across generations. Thank you, Congressman. As a leader of the African National Congress, I was a catalyst for good trouble, protesting against the South African government's unfair policies. I was arrested and sentenced to 30 years in prison, but I didn't give up the struggle. We ended apartheid in 1992, and I became the first black president of South Africa. Yeah, love Nelson Mandela. I've actually got the film, the biopic Mandela, starring Idris Elba. You may have noticed our statue of Steve Biko, leader of the Black Consciousness movement and one of many other anti-apartheid activists who caused good trouble. Take a moment to learn about other anti-apartheid activists and build a monument to their good trouble to stand beside Steve Biko. Yeah, you can do that, but I'm not really good at the building. Oh wait, that was Nelson Mandela. With the back turned, it's... Yeah, I should have been paying closer attention. Next, I'd like to take you to the United States in the 1960s and share with you some important events that shaped my life. You can continue on foot, fast travel, or return to the lobby using the buttons below. Wow, I know I don't really like the urban settings, but just look at this, it's beautiful. It's colossal, even. Dr. King. At last. My friend and mentor, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., embodied the ideals of causing good trouble by speaking out and leading non-violent protests when he saw something unjust. He gave his life in pursuit of civil rights and ending racial discrimination. Hello, dear friend. Like you, John, I grew up in the segregated South, and I knew it was my mission to make a difference. I believed in peaceful, non-violent protests as a way to impact change and end racial discrimination. In 1963, I led the March on Washington, where I delivered the I Have a Dream speech. This specific part is just colossal. In 1960, African American students in Greensboro, NC, staged a sit-in at a segregated lunch counter, refusing to leave after being denied service. Learn more about the good trouble they caused, and then think about the time you or a friend were excluded because of your identity. How did you feel? Write it down with a book and quill. Yeah, you can do the activity yourself, but this, yeah, got the sit-in going on right here. Also got a bus right here. And we have Rosa Parks too. Another major inspiration of mine was Rosa Parks. Rosa was instrumental in many things, including the Montgomery bus boycott, which was a significant movement in the civil rights movement. One example of her good trouble was refusing to give up her seat on the bus to a white man on December 1st, 1955. That's right, John. I planned my good trouble, and even though I lost my job because of it, my case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court, which ruled that bus segregation was unconstitutional. I continued to lead the fight against racial segregation with Dr. King and other leaders like you. In 1965, John Lewis helped to lead a march across this bridge to the state capitol in Montgomery, Alabama. Keep going to join the demonstration and to learn more. Wow, just look at this. This is colossal. Yeah, I'd never be able to make anything like this by myself. Now, all of the people are reskinned villagers, basically, but what were the German shepherds originally? On March 7th, 1965, in Selma, Alabama, I helped lead a peaceful march against the state's efforts to deny blacks the right to vote. Hundreds of peaceful protesters were met that day by state troopers who beat us with clubs, attacked us with dogs, and arrested us. This was a defining moment in the civil rights movement and in my own life. Yeah, what were the German Shepherds originally? Were they made specifically for this? From the build of them, I'd say they were probably made specifically for this world. The good troubles we caused in that day would inspire millions to join the civil rights movement. Now I want to head further back in time to India to meet a man known for leading non-violent resistance in his pursuit of good trouble. Click the buttons below to proceed on foot, fast travel, or return to the lobby. Oh shoot, I forgot to download the next episode of Kimba from Internet Archive. Oh well, I can do that after. Yeah, you can see the next bit in the distance layer. Mahatma Gandhi inspired people around the world as a leader in the struggle for India's independence from English rule. In the first half of the 1900s, he led hunger strikes, boycotts, and marches on behalf of and with India's poorest citizens. This inspired leaders who came after, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I believe in Satyagraha, which means firmness and truth, a form of non-violent resistance that I learned while working in South Africa. This served as the basis for my work to end British colonial oppression and for securing India's independence. I also worked to achieve peace between Hindus and Muslims. I taught non-violence, love, even against one's enemies, self-sufficiency, and simple living as some of my core philosophies. Build something to represent one of my teachings. If you want, you can export your creation for 3D printing to include in a presentation. Yeah, so you can do this here. Anyway, let's continue on. Our next stop is London, England, where I will introduce you to an important leader of the women's suffrage movement. You can continue there on foot, or use the buttons below to fast travel. I will continue on foot. Now I'd like to introduce you to Emmeline Pankhurst, who was a catalyst for good trouble in London way back in the early 1900s. The founder of the Women's Franchise League, she helped to organise and lead the women's suffrage movement, which helped white British women win the right to vote. Just a little bit of criticism, but I think it would have been more interesting if we went in chronological order. You know, like going through time. Hi, John. I advocated for married women to have the right to vote. I also helped to establish the Women's Social and Political Union. We protested through hunger strikes. We sometimes engaged in physical confrontations for the purpose of the movement. We used to pronounce it suffragettes because we intended to get the vote, and we did. When you're ready, let's return to our modern time so I can share a few final thoughts. Walk through the gates or use the button to fast travel. Wait, you can just click on it? You can just do that? I always thought the activity was mandatory. Yeah, so the activity involves you finding the various women. Here, there's 5 of them, I think. Exit London. No, we keep going. What the hell? I always thought the activity for that part was mandatory. But it's optional just like all the others? Alex. Yes? Can you lay down, please? In July 2020, I visited Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. In an essay published after my death a few days later, I said, "In my life I have done all I can to demonstrate that the way of peace, the way of love and non-violence is the most excellent way. Now it is your turn to let freedom ring." It's amazing to think about how the good trouble of each person we've met has impacted so many lives around the world and across time. This struggle for social justice impacts us all, and our work is not yet complete. How have these leaders inspired you to be a catalyst for good trouble to build a better world? And so that is Lessons in Good Trouble. I hope you've enjoyed this, and it will inspire you to get up to some good trouble of your own. Maybe even get this world yourself. Anyway, that's all for today. I'll see you next time.